Plus, I like their ultimate solution to the Weir problem. Not his solution. That idea sucks.
There was no next step, no ascension in any meaningful sense of the word. We've been stuck in subspace ever since.
Great. We wanted to stop for directions, but you insisted we didn't need to, Coruscant. You knew the way, Coruscant. So instead of taking us to ultimate enlightenment, you sent us to purgatory. I hope you're happy, Coruscant. They've spent their time since trying to find a way out of their predicament, heading into computers all over the galaxy, even Wraith ones, until finally she found one of their puddle jumpers and knew that that was a way to get to Atlantis. The glitches were all accidental. She's having trouble being in control, what with, being spread out all over the place, like when those flying monkeys tore up the Scarecrow. Oh, this is Oz! Rodney wants to build her a new replicator body, but Woolsey refuses. Woolsey was here during a replicator invasion and was captured and had his mind probed by them. And we're not talking about somebody who signed on to face anything more dangerous than a jam printer. So yeah, big surprise, he is not on board with making more replicators now that they've been wiped out. Since she can't stay in the computer without effing up the whole city, Shepard suggests a virtual reality for her. They've done something similar before. Long story. Oh, hey, that's something I appreciate, by the way. Hey, remember when we had a similar problem? Why don't we apply that similar solution? Well, the reason we don't do that is because Dr. Weir takes matters into her own hands. I'll just build myself a replicator body, thank you very much.
Hello?
From the moment she was destroyed, I felt like it was a waste. That we were only at the beginning of the story when it came to Fran. Now, this isn't Fran, but it was a great choice to give Dr. Weir her form, and perfectly logical, too. The system was already set up to make it. If I need to have a body, why don't I grab one that's already in the hopper? Plus, it's going to be complicated trying to mentally recreate your body perfectly if you're going to inhabit it again. It's not like you took measurements or anything. How well could you really do that? And how much does self-image play into that? They could wind up with a Dr. Weir who's 6'4" with triple E breasts. Anyway, Dr. Weir insists that she had no choice, and all the safeguards that Rodney put into Fran means that she can't do anything harmful either. Of course, Woolsey points out that they have only her word that she's Dr. Weir. Even the things that she knows could easily have been pulled from the real Dr. Weir's mind. As he mentions in private, for all they know, this is Oberoth. Ugh. So, as a demonstration of goodwill, she says that there's technical specifications for other advanced systems that she's occupied, including Wraith ones, that could be really useful to them, and she's dropped them in the computer already. Nice little coming home present. What isn't so nice is that she's bringing 8 more like her here. She says that she'd gone her own way some time ago and they must have followed her without her knowing it. McKay tries to write a program to quarantine them before they can do anything to the city, but it's too late. They are overwhelming everything. And when someone tries to pull the plug, he is killed. It's hard to think that that was an accident either, considering...
They're sinking the city.
Raise the shield. They disabled you.
Yeah, trapping and then threatening to drown them doesn't suggest that that lightning strike was a whoopsie. Woolsey calls their bluff, knowing they wouldn't destroy the city that was their best chance of achieving their goals. You wouldn't think he'd have the stones, but he plays chicken with them until they finally blink. Woolsey is very insistent that they are not to be given replicator bodies, but Dr. Weir offers a proposal. Put them in replicator bodies. Don't worry, there's a step 2. Once they're in replicator bodies, they can then be moved into human bodies, the way that those duplicates had been made. That way they would be no more of a threat than any other human. There's the small matter that Atlantis doesn't have the technology to do that right now, but the replicators know how to do it, so they could work on that in one of the labs. If they're kept in a force field, contained in a lab, everything should be fine. Absolutely fine. Seems Coruscant wasn't keen on Operation Pinocchio, so he put in a delayed program to go off later and shut down the power so that he could escape. Dr. Weir chases after him while the rest stay put. They've had enough of all this bullshit. Shepard still wants to shoot them, but their pleas convince him to at least give them a chance rather than simply executing them for one asshole's crimes. Corson says he still plans to ascend, but with a replicator body, not a human one that would one day break down. Humph. I would take umbrage at that if I wasn't resting on a heating pad because I aggravated my shoulder blade sneezing. Well, turns out Dr. Weir has been lying. Coming here was her plan. They never just followed her here. She told them that she was going to come here, and she'd let them know when to come. But she acted like it was all outside of her control. This entire situation was negotiated in bad faith, and someone is dead as a result.
You may still think you're Elizabeth, but you're not.
Ouch, right in the self-actualization. So she rushes off, grabs Corson, and puts him down right on the spot. But then, in what is meant to be a sign that she's finally being her old self, she says that they're not going to continue their work even when it is offered. It's too dangerous. Instead, Dr. Weir tells the other replicators that they're going to build the human bodies for themselves elsewhere. She works really hard to gain their trust, and then leads them through the Stargate into space to float helplessly for eternity. Nothing like the heartwarming image of paranoid betrayal to really warm the heart, is there? Handling this is hard. Let me start with what I liked. Not only was Michelle Morgan's presence an inspired choice as a replacement, but she was incredibly effective. I could practically hear the inflections in her vocal characteristics of Dr. Weir. She was superb. And McKay's confession that he just wants to make up for putting all this in motion by activating those nanites in Dr. Weir's head was a very human moment. Picardo really shows his mastery of his craft in this episode. There are nuances to his performance informed by his history that really impressed me. But that ending, acting as if there was nobility in the self-sacrifice of tricking people who have been cooperating into a whole different kind of prison, is the kind of dubious morality that I did not miss from earlier seasons. Doesn't condemning the last of a race because of one person seem, evil? And what does it say about Dr. Weir if her final action as a leader is to betray her followers when they trust her? I just can't move past that, suggesting you can't trust their kind as the sole justification for this. Because remember, Corson was the only one who did anything to them. He was the one in control of Atlantis when it sunk, and it's almost certain that he was the one who threw that lightning bolt. But the rest worked hard to prove themselves by cooperating with every single thing, even in the face of threats. Sorry, no. I am dusting off Death Star Reactor Port for this one. Another episode that Carl Binder did that could have been great if not for a fatal flaw that undermines it.